her guys.
And her guys.
And welcome to episode 197 of the Knitting Samurai and Her Guys video podcast. I'm your host, Steph, also known as the Knitting Samurai, who just got clunked in the head by the lights. Which is sort of like how I feel January has gone, just like it's clunked me in the head. It's been a really chaotic January, and I'm so glad that it's halfway through the month and it's just slowing down and calming down because we started the year off with a bang. So last time we sat down like this for a regular episode, it was right around Thanksgiving. I completely missed you over the holidays, but not really. You know, I did Vlogmas. I recorded for 17 days, so that's good, right? It was really fun, but I know that there are those of you that prefer this method. So I might, going forward, do a mix of more of a video log versus a podcast. So less scripted, more off the cuff, just spur of the moment recording versus, you know, everything around me and the lights just so. But here we are, and it is a Tuesday afternoon. The sun is getting low. You can see that. The sun's getting low. The sun's getting low. Sorry, it's my little Avengers reference there. Ro is home sick from school today, although you know how that is. By the end of the day, they're so rambunctious. But and I'm excited for 2019. I know you couldn't tell from the beginning, but I really am, because this is the year that I get myself together. Because looking at what I accomplished, I really want to lean on the table, but if I do, I'm going to shake you, so I'm trying not to. Looking at what I accomplished for 2018, I haven't finished weighing everything because I, for some reason, didn't do very well on my record keeping this past year. But I knit about half of what I normally knit, and I know that Pokemon got in the way, and I know that I didn't feel well a lot. So that, and I did switch out a lot of my knitting time with stitch markers. So it's gone downhill from the average of the 3 years before, which was around 16,000 yards. Yards? Yeah, yards. It's gone down closer to 8,000. So I don't want to do that. I have too much yarn for that. I think I was at like a 10-year pre-programming of yarn, or pre-investment of yarn, so at the 16,000 a year rate. So if I drop it to 8, then that's 20 years of yarn, and I don't want that much so but while it sounds like I'm saying I've knit less, I knit a lot over the holidays, and a large part of that was due to these Christmas stockings, which are now ready to be put away, but I thought they'd get one last viewing on the podcast, so I did knit these for my boys, Roland and Tristan. Tris got the Rudolph with a red nose on red background. That wasn't real bright, but whatever. And then Roland wanted the snowman with a penguin on the back. The toes should be similar. I knit Tristan's first and then did a bunch of surgery. If you'd like more details about the surgery and the sock changes, I think you can see it on parts of the Vlogmas. I think so. Anyways, I went into detail about knitting these and getting them done. I knit them with, what was the yarn? It was Lion Brand Heartland, I think is what it's called. And I really love the way it's more of a flecked yarn. I'm sure some of the plies are a different color than others. So it just gave it this really nice look about it. So now that you've seen them and they're finished and there's a piece of the chessboard, they are ready to go away. But those were a big push for me to get done. And I was seaming in ends at 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve. So they were done, but yeah. So there was that. I finished after Christmas. I only have one pair to show you right now, because the other pair is on Roland's feet right now. But I did finish the socks for the boys. So I've got my little, I don't know, do you need to see it on this? So this is Desert Vista Dye Works. I used, jump back for a second. The Christmas stocking is the Ho 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 pattern. So this is Desert Vista Dye Works, Strawberries and Champagne. I knit Tristan a pair and I knit Roland a pair, and the difference is Tristan's have green and red on the heel and Roland's have yellow and red on the heel. So those are done. They were traveling in my Bling Your Strings bag that I absolutely love. Look at the lining fabric. Isn't it so cute? Yeah, I love those together. So they perfectly matched with this, and this is how much I have left. So I knit, what, 80% of the yarn and was left with this little bit. I need to weigh it, but I feel like knitting 2 pairs of socks for a size 12 and a size, so that's like a little boy 12 and a big boy 4 is a good investment for a skein of yarn. So they need to be blocked. There's definitely differences in my gauge. There were points when I was annoyed and wanted to be done and I wasn't done yet, but overall they turned out pretty well and both boys are very excited to have them. When those were done, I cast on, I needed to see a movie. My mom and I went to see The Upside. It was very good. I would give it, well, it wasn't very good. I would give it a B+. My mother's older sister was in a wheelchair for 20 years. And so we spent a lot of our, she definitely was not a quadriplegic, which is completely different. But I have vague memories of her before she went into a chair when she used crutches. And it just made the movie a little more poignant. It made it hit home a bit more. We saw it opening day at like 3 in the afternoon. The theater was packed and there were points where Mom and I were like crying with laughter, laughing so hard, and no one else in the theater was laughing. So I think there were some jokes that we got because of our experience with my aunt that I know she would have been laughing right along with us for sure. But anyways, so while we were there, I cast on for a new sock. So this is some Patons Croix. Oh, what's the color? I don't remember. Raspberry stripes? Maybe? I don't know. It's new. I hadn't seen this. My mother-in-law and I took a break and ran away during our present opening with them, our final holiday celebration, and she and I ran to Joann's. What did she need to get? Some kitchen cotton. They live on coastal Maine and there aren't big box stores there, so she and I went together and I saw this color that I had never seen before of Patons Croix. So look at how much I've done. I'm almost done. I don't even have a full color repeat, but then again, the color repeats are pretty long. So, but it's been fun. I did some smaller stripes. I did some color management through the heel because I wanted to keep the front the same, and so I just mixed in some purple from the opposite end of the ball to offset, and then I decided to stripe in some white from the opposite end of the ball just to give it a little more interest in the heel area. I don't know how different it will be on the second one, but you can see one of the new mitten stitch markers we have in the store. It's not a stitch marker, it's a progress keeper. During our time apart, oh wait, let me just tell you, I knit these on size 0s, which is entirely too small for sport weight yarn, but it makes a super dense fabric. So you can see a huge difference in my gauge with this versus my gauge with the boys' socks, not their stockings, their socks. And it's just the small yarn, and I'm not gritting my teeth, and I'm not getting a painful pedicure. I'm not getting a, what else did I do while I was knitting? Something else. I was using, I was waiting in line at the garage, like they were on the go socks, and so my gauge is all over the place versus these, where these have been like movie watching. So I watched probably that much in The Upside, and then I did to here watching Stargate last night, and then today with Rolling Home we listened to 5 chapters of Harry Potter. So I turned the heel then, and so very deliberate knitting, you know, focused on my knitting, not trying to avoid what I'm doing. And I'm also really enjoying these. And by the time I'd knit 4 of those socks for the boys, I was done with it. Which, that itch just reminded me, I did some arm knitting. So I got a bunch of books from the library, and I wanted to try arm knitting basically for Roland. He's talked about it, wanting to learn to knit. And I had heard that arm knitting was a good way to teach kids. So he and I both cast on, and we sat on the couch together. I want to say at some point over break. And this was mine. This is how it turned out. So you're basically knitting back and forth, because I was like, how am I purling? I'm not purling, but yet it looks like knit stitch. And then I realized I'm knitting back. I'm knitting across and then knitting back. And you use your arms, and they're loaded up with loops, and you pass them back and forth. And this was a skein of Fig, and the Woolies Thick and Quick, I want to say. That sounds right. I had purchased this and then a blue and a darker red for knitting one of those Northern Toque hats last year about this time. And so I had 3/4 of a skein left, and I said, that's enough. I'm going to try this arm knitting thing. So I did. It's cushy. It's warm. It looks like a net. And that's cool. It did take, the pattern said it would take half an hour, and it did. So this is the Infinity Scarf pattern. I didn't use this arm knitting book, but this one also has the same pattern in it, and it doesn't say who it's by. So I wonder if the patterns are so easy that they're just like, you know what, here's how to do it. Because this is exactly the same thing. So if you're looking for it, check it out in your library. I was very pleased that I got it from library, spent a half an hour, and then I was done. So I have no desire to ever do this again, but it was fine. And if you're asking what about Roland, he ended up with just a knot, basically handcuffs. He was saying, Mom, help me. And I was able to get it off, but it did take some untangling, and then he could eat dinner. But it was a good way to spend a little bit of time with him and get that knitting bug, kind of deal with that for him, because he has wanted to knit, and I haven't wanted to teach him because I know it'll be such a big thing. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. There's a lot of content this week. I didn't tell you at the beginning, so I'm going to talk about my whips. I'll tell you now, halfway through, in case you're getting bored. My whips, my plans for 2019, and a little shop update too. There were actually 2 shop updates since we last spoke, so I may put both update videos in. I'm not sure. I don't know how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments below if you do not like shop update videos. Okay, so, you know, I was knitting Roland a sweater. The hope was to get the Hitch Pullover by Vanessa Ewing done for him. Look at all my notes. Done for him for Christmas to wear. And I got the body done, and I had one sleeve done, and then we found that the stockings, we remembered that the stockings had been destroyed last year, and so we put down, I put this down, and I put the boys' socks down and knit them Christmas stockings instead. So this did not get finished in time, but I'm still gonna finish it. So I don't know why this has a weird biasing about it. And I'm wondering if it's that the cable pattern, because I needed such a small circumference for him. The cable pattern covers so much of the circumference. There's only about 2 inches of plain stockinette when it will be on him. I don't know if that's affecting it. That may be a good blocking. Because see, right now it's like twist, like, yeah, it's twisting 180 degrees. I don't know why. But there's the first arm, and it's a shawl collar, buttons with saddle shoulders that have cables down the arms. That's what the pattern looks like. So there's one cabling arm. Yeah, and this one's doing it too. So there's the second cably arm. I just started to split off for the underarm part to knit the stripe that goes up the shoulder into the collar. So I'm getting close to the finishing touches. It's knit on size 8s. I'm using, what am I using? Cascade 220. I had 3 skeins because cables are pigs. I ran out of yarn. A sweater for him should really take 700 yards of yarn, and so I was cutting it close, but then cables, and you know, so you could see, I don't know if you can see the line. I tried to blend it in as I switched skeins, so it is what it is. I'm not reknitting it, and if I need to, I have some wool dyes that when I take pictures, if the color is too different, yeah, I can see the line from here. I'll throw it in a pot of warm water with a little bit of green dye. It'll go all over it, and we'll call that good. It'll be garment dyed. So you pay a lot for that when you buy clothes. Anyways, so this is going. It's definitely a thinking project. It's not a mindless knit like the sock. It's, okay, where am I line by line on the chart? I can read where I am, but I cannot, I don't have that chart pattern memorized where I could just go. Because some cables are easy like that. And I do not cable with a cable needle, in case you're wondering. So the next things, oh no, which one? This one. In this bag, which is a pretty new purchase, but I love it. The green is my green. I am knitting my second version. So I have to tell you, life's changed, right? I've changed, hopefully for the better with time, right? We all hope we age like a nice wine, getting better with time. And I find that my knitting, it takes me, like the first knit is almost a test knit for me with any pattern now. Like the stockings for the boys, the first one I knit so that I didn't follow the instructions all the way. It was super long. The writing was on the wrong side of the sock. Second one came out perfect, right? I was like, oh, this is what I need to change about it. For those two things, those are fine. But for you were calling this hat for my bestie, and I had a time figuring out this cable portion on the front, the brim. And so once I figured it out, I ended up ripping and reknitting and sewing and picking up. It took 2 hours to assemble, where it really should have taken me 15 minutes if I had understood what was going on. Like, I just had to figure it out. So now that I have it figured out, this hat should be a piece of cake fun knitting. So I'm knitting a second one for my husband, who is so not knit worthy. Can I just tell you, I knit him the Jason hat. It's this, I ordered special thick, chunky yarn with tweed with flecks of brown in it. Tweed is not a color, like a fawn color with flecks of deep brown in it. And I knit him, I think it was called the Jason hat. It had this 4 inches of ribbing. It was a huge amount of ribbing. It folds over, it's a watch cap. It's really cozy warm for when he's snow blowing. The bin of winter woolies came upstairs to get a mid-season wash, and I put it in the washer. And I thought, oh, I gotta grab out my sockhead hat and Steve's hat when they go in the dryer. And then, long story short, I was not there to put them in the dryer because I was exhausted. And he was helping, but he shrunk it. So now it's Roland's hat. And now, again, Steve doesn't have the hat. That's the second hat I've knit him that he shrunk. And it's only since we've lived in this house. Like, something about this house makes him, and maybe it's because the washer and dryer are stacked, and so he doesn't take that minute to, like, pull it out, look at it, and then go down. I don't know, but he's shrinking things. So my sockhead was in Paku, Into the World, came out fine. It's fine, don't worry. In fact, it looks beautiful because it evens out, the dryer evened out my stitches, so it's like it got a perfect blocking, but his hat shrunk. So it's Roland's hat. I took it out of the dryer and I was like, no! And Roland was brushing his teeth, getting ready for bed, and I just folded up the brim and I put it on his head and I said, this is yours now, and he was like, yay! So at least there's that. But so why am I knitting him another hat? And this one has alpaca in it. So this is, I'm holding together a Action, I think it's Action, yeah, Lang Jawool Action yarn. So you can't really tell by looking at it, but there are blue stripes and green stripes and then white stripes in the flex. So it's black and then it has stripes of those colors, and I'm holding it with a black yarn to really tone it down so it's more to his liking. He's a pretty neutral guy. He doesn't stand out in a crowd if he can help it. So I'm knitting the brim for him, except I left off the cable because I don't want to do the cable, but we're about here. And it was funny, I brought it with us to the theater, but I didn't get very far before. I don't know if I got bored. Yeah, because there's no arrows in it, so I must have just gotten bored. But I was like, okay, it needs to be like 23 inches, which is like 24 inches, and I wear a size 11, so my foot is a... So I'm doing all the, I'm like, okay, so my foot's a 10.5, so double my foot length from here to here. This matches your foot length, so that's 10.5 inches. So then this must be pretty close to the same length. to my armpit. So that would be 21 inches. So if I knit that and then think of negative ease, yeah, okay. So in the theater, if it's, then I'll stop when it gets to here. I went through all that and then I didn't even do it. So I know, the things you think of, but everything's a ruler to me, everything, no matter where I am. Like this distance is 6 inches. This one's 2, I think. And to the bottom of my nail is a 1. The things you learn. So, so I was seeing all over Instagram people posting their, best of 2018 as well as their Make 9 in 19. And I think that's what it's called, although I have Me Make in my head, which sometimes I dyslex things or add in my own take on them. But I saw it and I got a little enthusiastic about my knitting. As I said before, I want to do more this year. And so I put together, here are my 14, because I couldn't limit myself to 9, 14 items that I would like to knit in 2019. So this is Steph's Make 9 of 2019. It's actually more like 14, but I've got aspirations. First up is the Bar Harbor t-shirt sweater by Alicia Plummer. I just really love the crisp color blocking. The Luck Lucks by Megan Williams. I need to finish these off. I started them last year for St. Patty's. Got to get them done this year. The Messy Bun Hat. I knit one, but it was too short. I want to lengthen it and add a second one. That should be easy, check done. My bestie wants a pair of leg warmers, so these are the Traveling Stitch leg warmers. Not sure if I'll make these exact ones. Definitely something in a DK weight gauge to help over leggings. This is Across the Water by Cynthia Cushing. I really just love the look of this, everything about it. The next one I saw at Rhinebeck, which may make it tricky. The pattern doesn't seem to be on Ravelry. So we'll see if I can get that done, but I absolutely love that pattern. Slippers. I can never have enough slippers. You'd think I'd have them all over the house. I love to try slipper patterns, and these are the non-felted slippers by Yuko Nakamura. This is not what I want to do, but it's a placeholder. This is the Polygon by Tin Can Knits. I need to finish my Hex blanket. The Spooky Selbu mittens. I saw them last Halloween. I'd love to have them to wear this Halloween. Looks like some fun color work. Speaking of color work, I saw this on the Knitters League podcast and fell in love. This is the Polka Dot Cowl by Gilly Pop. Martina Bem released this past year, Rose Candy. I love that shape of cowl and shawl. I wear my shift all the time. This is the Gerona top. I saw or was introduced to it on the She Makes Must Knit podcast. Love the 2 colors and a little bit of lace. This is a color work hat. It's called Falling Leaves. It's been in my queue for years and years. And so I'd really like to get that done this year. And the last piece of color work is the Throwback by Andrea Mowry. Don't you just love it? I fell in love with that rust color. I don't know if I need the same colors in the color work, but And then here's the list on Ravelry. If you're looking for more details, you can pause, check out each pattern I've listed. That's the order in my queue. Don't you just love Ravelry for keeping you organized? Yarns, patterns, cues, everything you could want to do. So there's the first 7, and here are the next 7. Any questions? Answers are right there. Oh! All right, I hope you are planning out your 2019. Have some great goals, aspirational knitting that you'd like to get done, because I know I do. So enjoy. I thought I would share with you where I'm at with the Luck Lucks, because those should be, really? I thought I had 2. I really thought I had 2, not just 1. But I only see 1 in this bag. Oh, I'm gonna have to go look at my project pictures and see if I can find another one. Because I really thought I was into the ribbing at the top. Okay, anyways, this is by Megan Williams. I'm using Miss Babs Yowza, as well as Fiber Nymph Dye Works Sunshine, which you would normally not put those 2 yarns together, but in color work, I didn't think it would show the difference in their ply structure, their twists. So, and they were what I had in my stash for a dark green and a electric citric acid green. And so here's how far I made it during March of last year before I didn't lose interest. It was just like, okay, I can't wear them for Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, so I don't want to know. So I stopped. Isn't that a pretty hill? But this is how, yeah, I am, because it goes into the opposite on the cuff, right? The cuff is reversed. It's the dark green with the acid on top instead of this way. So this actually helped me really get good at carrying my, the color you want to pop out, the design that is on top of the sock, if you will. This helped me remember to do my dark green in front. So this was actually really good practice for me. So I loved it. I gotta get back into it. I gotta find my pattern. But that is by Megan Williams of Stockinette Zombie fame. And you know what else is in here? I don't know. I think I might not have enough pens. I just bought new pens because I couldn't find any pens and highlighters. Well, at least I didn't buy highlighters. So there's that. And then the, just to go back for a second, the hex blanket. What was that called? I can't remember. But I started 2 of them. One I did as scraps. I knit 2 hexes a day, or 1 every other day, something, during the advent calendar for 2017 that I did with the Anders Mill podcast. And I had that on the go. It's pretty big. It's like 3x3 now, but you know, I'd like it 3 times that size. So I need to pick that back up and start working on it. So I'm not going to start the polygon blanket, but that was just a pattern with hexes that I found quickly at the tip of my fingers that I could think of. And then I'm going to reknit the hat. So those are like 3 of the 9 that are kind of coming in from last year. So that's my plan. Are you excited? Are you going to do some fun knitting for 2019? I hope so. I'm going to share a couple shop updates with you right now. Valentine's and winter snow knitting kick around here. Next week, I don't know what's on the agenda for working on next week. Probably trying to restock the Doctor Who, because those have been flying out the door. Imagine, Doctor Who started with the Lady Doctor, and now people are grabbing those up. So That's it. That's all I have to say for right now. I hope you have a great 10 days or so until I see you again. I'll be back by the end of the month. We'll do this again soon. All right? Take care. I'll talk to you soon.